Indoor air pollution as a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, with a national regional focus on Tanzania and low-income countries. Outdoor and indoor air pollution cause 7 million deaths globally yearly, including 600,000 deaths of children under the age of 5, equivalent to approximately 1 in 10. Combined, they are a significant preventable cause of global morbidity and mortality as the fourth leading cause of death worldwide as of 2017. More than 90% of deaths due to outdoor and indoor air pollution occur in low and middle-income countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, with 98% of children under the age of 5 exposed to fine particulate matter, or PM 2.5 levels, above guidelines directed by the World Health Organization, as opposed to only 52% in high-income countries. Indoor and household air pollution, in particular, is an essential area of study as more than 40% of the world's population, including 1 billion children, is exposed to high levels that cause more than 1.6 million premature deaths yearly, with a 1,000-fold increase in indoor air pollution-related deaths between high and low-income countries, accounting for a significant 6% of deaths in low-income countries. In Tanzania specifically, the rate is even higher at 6.5%. While deaths caused by indoor air pollution had originally trended down in Tanzania from 1990 to around 2005, they then began and continue to increase. While air pollution, both caused by particulate matter and noxious airborne gases and volatile substances, is known to be associated with medical conditions related to the upper and lower respiratory tracts or airways, including asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancer, and acute upper and lower airway infections, it also causes chronic damage to the cardiovascular system as high blood pressure, artery disease, myocardial infarctions or heart attacks, arrhythmias, and heart failure. And while cardiovascular disease is merely one indicator of health, it is highly comorbid with disease of other organs and vessels given similar pathologic processes. This presentation will review the epidemiologic evidence to link air pollution, especially particulate matter, to cardiovascular health specifically, and as a surrogate for further critical organ and vascular-related disease. This will be formatted as an extension to a global health and demography paper with a focus on indoor air pollution statistics in Tanzania and low-income countries to act as a frame for real-world impacts for high-risk populations. The majority of indoor air pollution is caused especially by the burning of unprocessed solid biofuels like firewood, charcoal and coal, and cow dung. In addition to particulate matter, they can also produce harmful gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and more, like non-solid biofuels like kerosene. Particles with a medium aerodynamic diameter less than 2.5 micrometers or less than 10 micrometers in size settle in the nasal cavities and upper airways, producing respiratory symptoms like cough and bronchitis and decreases in lung function, and also fine and ultrafine particles less than 100 nanometers that settle deeper in the lungs and can cause local infectious and inflammatory reactions and also enter the bloodstream. Most indoor air pollution is caused by cooking, but also by lighting and heating with fuels like kerosene, anti-malarial pesticides, painting, pest control, household cleaning, and more. In some countries like Tanzania, more than 95% of households, 95% rural and 86% urban, use solid biofuel for cooking as of 2013. These rates are even higher than the average use of solid biofuels in sub-Saharan Africa in general at about 75%. Women and children are often at the highest risk for health issues resulting from high exposure to burning solid fuel indoors because they tend to spend more time in the house cooking than men, often in small spaces without adequate ventilation. Older adults and those with chronic cardiorespiratory health conditions are also high risk. With over 43,000 deaths per year caused by stroke, ischemic heart disease, acute and chronic respiratory diseases like asthma, childhood pneumonia, and COPD, more than half are caused by indoor air pollution. And this does not account for the long-term disease and effect on families and communities that disability, disease, and death cause, while health issues also lead to financial and psychosocial strain for families and health systems, especially in countries with high rates of poverty like Tanzania. Particulate matter is the leading cause for indoor air pollution illnesses and deaths. In examining the link between particulate matter and noxious substance air pollution on cardiovascular health, a 2014 review of the evidence found that particulate matter 2.5 and particulate matter 10 concentrations have an association with increases in cardiovascular diseases, including coronary artery disease, elevated blood pressure, risk of myocardial infarction or heart attacks, and more. These outcomes have been demonstrated to be moderated by several physiologic effects, including increased inflammation and clotting, production of damaging oxidative stressors, reduction in vascular plaque breakdown, changes in adaptive vessel tone, and slowed ability to accommodate to needed changes in cardiac demand. Several studies have found a link between particulate matter, mortality and life expectancy, and cardiovascular and pulmonary disease, and the American Heart Association and the Environmental Protection Agency support the link. Several studies have found significant percentage increases in cardiovascular mortality with every particulate matter 2.5 level increase of 10 micrograms meters cubed. A 2000 study found an increase in cardiovascular disease from 0.5% to 1.5% for every 5 to 6 micrograms per meters cubed increase in PM 2.5, and a 69% increase after acute exposure to particulate air pollution, with acute exposure yielding a higher rate of death due to cardiovascular disease than even respiratory disease. A 2004 study found risk of ischemic heart disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, and cardiac arrest increased 8 to 18% for every 10.5 micrograms per meters cubed in PM 2.5, and a 2006 study found a 4.5% increase in coronary artery disease with every 10 micrograms per meters cubed increase in PM 2.5. An increased risk of acute myocardial infarction, heart attack, and hospitalizations was also demonstrated with increased NO2 and PM 2.5 levels. There is also significant evidence for an increased risk for high blood pressure, which can cause further cardiovascular disease. The authors of the 2014 review also found that PM 2.5 levels seem to exhibit a stronger association with cardiovascular disease based on the available evidence than PM 10 levels, but a strong association has been demonstrated with PM 10 levels still. The National Morbidity, Mortality, and Air Pollution Study of 50 million people in 20 of the largest cities in the U.S. found a 0.68% increase in cardiopulmonary mortality with 10 microgram per meter cubed increases in PM 10 levels, with the Air Pollution and Health European Approach study, conducted on data of 43 million people in 29 major European cities, found a 0.76% increase in cardiopulmonary mortality with 10 micrograms per meter cubed increases in PM 10 levels, a higher risk for cardiovascular disease again than respiratory disease. There is also demonstrated increased risk for stroke. The review concluded that additional studies are needed to identify health outcomes linked to different sizes of coarse and ultrafine particles, as well as mixed pollution of combined particulate matter and noxious fumes. Indoor air pollution can be severely reduced by replacing solid biomass for liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, biogas, and electricity. Additionally, by replacing kerosene lamps for lighting with electricity or solar energy, other health risks can be reduced, including burns and poisoning. While these cleaner fuel sources can still be reasonably inexpensive, only 60% of the world's population has access, often limited by socioeconomic status and location. Indoor air pollution is commonly known to cause respiratory disease, but there is significant evidence to suggest it causes cardiovascular and other critical organ disease as well. Both outdoor and indoor air pollution are causes of significant concern to the health of Tanzanians, but a focus on indoor air pollution is particularly essential as it is a highly preventable cause of significant morbidity and mortality that can be addressed on the individual and community level as deeper fundamental socio-political and economic changes occur over time. With a continued specialized focus on indoor air quality in both Tanzania and other low- and middle-income countries, with steady efforts towards focused and systemic change, assisted by both governmental and non-governmental agencies, there is a significant opportunity and high hope to reduce this preventable cause of illness, injury, and death in low-income countries like Tanzania, where citizens are disproportionately and significantly affected.